Welcome to episode 64 of the State of the Market for Law Firm Sales in 11 Minutes. My name is Jeremy Pook and I lead Senior Attorney Match. In today's In 11 Minutes, we'll discuss thoughts about law firm sales as we are now in the second half of the 2020s. So let's jump right into it.
So we're giving a lot of thought to that. Here we are entering into the second half of the 2020s, and we think of law firm sales, no matter what, however, the sales of law firms will change over time. The least common denominator when it comes to law firm sales is clients, right? Every law firm needs clients. And when you're selling a law firm, the question is going to be where and how many and what type of clients that you have. So when we're thinking about law firm sales heading towards 2030 in the second half of the 2020s, we think first and foremost about where is business development today in the legal industry. And we are clearly here in the mid-2020s and what we call the 3.0 era for the legal industry, because that is the digital era for our industry. And when it comes to business development in the mid-2020s, there's really 6 feeders. We call them windmills, right? They're generating the energy source for law firms, and those 6 windmills for generating clients in the mid-2020s starts first and foremost with Uncle Google, right? We continue to say that Uncle Google is America's greatest referral source for lawyers, and it's America's greatest rainmaker for lawyers and law firms, because we as a society, we go to Google searching for anything and everything. If I want to buy a new tennis racket, if I want a new pair of sneakers, if I want to go to a great restaurant, if I want to travel overseas, I am asking Google for information about fill in the blank, just like clients today are asking who is the best fill in the blank attorney near me for such and such a need. Secondly, in terms of that windmill generating business development is AI. And it's amazing how quickly that disruption has happened when it comes to AI. If we think about ChatGPT was only introduced in late November of 2022. And when we're filming this now, we are entering just about into the fourth quarter of 2025, and already tens of millions of Americans have downloaded. They use ChatGPT. They rely upon ChatGPT as a thought leader, as authority. And we know that we need to check in. Of course, we're not using it for our legal briefs, or at least we shouldn't just yet, right? But we are certainly relying upon ChatGPT and other forms of AI when we're asking for, hey, who can you recommend for this legal issue that I have? Who are the best attorneys to meet those needs? And then we're seeing how it is producing so quickly a number of law firms to consider. That level of authority will only continue to grow and develop business for those law firms that are benefiting by the AI authority that comes from the searches that we as a society will only continue to engage in with ChatGPT and other forms of AI. The third windmill when it comes to developing business in the mid-2020s is social media, right? We are all using different forms of social media, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, TikTok, Threads. There will probably be more. And as clients are looking for lawyers, they're looking for social proof. They want to know who likes, who follows, who's on, who's a thought leader in these, in these different platforms, on these different platforms. And when clients see lawyers and law firms participating on those social media platforms that they're engaging in, gets the attention of clients, hence the business development. Of course, in terms of the fourth windmill is your website, right? Once you can get the attention of clients, that's coming from Google, AI, social media, right? Then potential clients coming to your website, they want to see on your website that you have hundreds, literally hundreds of Google reviews. When they see that, again, social proof. They don't need yesteryear's recommendation from a brother or sister or father, a financial planner, an accountant. When they go on your website, they want to see the Google reviews. They want to see what you've done, where you've done it, what accolades you have, what your clients say about you. How do you get that attention today? You're getting that attention by SEO rankings, Google AdWords. PPC is still alive and kicking because we need clients to come to your website. They come to your website, that generates business. The fifth windmill that generates business development is audio and video, right? Potential clients, they want to listen to your podcast. They want to hear you. They want to watch your videos. They want to see you and hear you. And then webinars that you lead. You're a thought leader, right? You should be out there and be letting people understand and know the great areas of law that you have mastered, that you know about. You are a thought leader. You lead a webinar on areas of your practice. And then finally, in terms of that business development in the mid-2020s, is still old school. Yes, lawyers still hand out business cards. But as a question to any lawyer who's watching this right now, when was the last time that you reordered 500 business cards? It's just not happening as much as it used to. Old school networking, yes, it happens. And when people make referrals, word of mouth referrals, they're gold, right? They are absolute gold. But in reality, in the mid-2020s, business development continues to grow digitally. So now let's look at Law Firm Sales 1.0. So as we are thinking about law firm sales heading into the second part of the 2020s and heading towards 2030, let's think about where we've been. Since Senior Attorney Match started in the 2010s, okay, and going into the early part of the 2020s, we have seen for the most part what we call Law Firm Sales 1.0. Law Firm Sales 1.0 is relatively simple. The value proposition is, if I'm a selling attorney, I have a book of business, which consists of clients and referral sources. A buyer will pay the seller an earnout based upon the performance of the book of business over a negotiated number of years. That is, clients that continue to retain selling law firm that are attributable to, clients that retain purchasing law firm that were clients in the named book of business of a seller. Buyer will pay a percentage of those collections over a negotiated period of time. As an example, 20% to 25%, maybe higher in certain practice areas on the collections from the book of business over, let's say, a 5, 7, maybe even sometimes 10-year period. That's Law Firm Sales 1.0 is the earnout price. The primary value of Law Firm Sales 1.0 is the book of business. Now let's look at how disruption, though, has entered into the legal industry, right? Digital marketing disruption is here. It's a fact. Clients post 2020, they search for their lawyers online. They search Google, they search AI, they search social media, they go onto websites. They are not even asking, as they did in prior years, for a word of mouth recommendation for who do you recommend. Instead, they are doing that digitally, just as we search for almost everything and anything today online. What does that mean for senior attorney-led firms in particular who grew their practices in the word of mouth era? They grew great books of business as rainmaker attorneys pre-Google. Well, if you are not being found because you're not engaging in multi-channel digital marketing, then the result of today's digital marketing disruption is that your book of business is not replenishing as much as it did in yesteryear. So let's look back now at where Law Firm Sales 1.0 is heading in the second half of the 2020s. Where it's heading is that if you're relying on word of mouth and your goodwill reputation without significantly investing in multi-channel digital marketing to attract the attention of clients for your law firm, or if you're a solo lawyer, then your book of business is not going to replenish as much as it did during what we call the 1.0 word of mouth era. As a result, if your book of business does not replenish as much as it did in yesteryear, it's going to be worth less. And not worthless, worth less. And just to make the analogy, it's not as drastic as Uber Amazon and Netflix, right? Where that disruption, like literally put taxi cab medallion owners out of business, put Sears out of business, put Blockbuster out of business. It's not happening as fast in the legal industry. It's here though. Digital disruption is here. It's only going to continue. And as a result, the value in law firm sales 1.0 will go down for those lawyers whose books of business aren't as valuable as they were at the beginning of the 2020s. So in terms of an adage, let's think about what goes down here will go up. Because if the books of business of senior attorneys relying upon the word of mouth for generating business for their firms, if their books of business are going down, well, there still are thousands, tens of thousands, millions of clients who continue to need legal services. Who's getting that business? Who's getting that business are digitally savvy, growing law firms that are generating their clients digitally. And if you're generating clients digitally, then congratulations, we are entering into what we call law firm sales 2.0. And law firm sales 2.0, and this will only continue in the second half, or in the second half of the 2020s and heading towards 2030, is that we're going to continue to see in law firm sales values attributable to digital value and brand equity. That is, when a purchasing firm can study the records, the financial records of, and really the data analytics of a selling law firm that can show that clients don't just come in because of the goodwill of one or more Rainmaker attorneys. It comes because that is new clients come into the firm because the firm is converted to become a digital Rainmaker, right? It's the rain happens, the clients come not because of single attorneys, but because of the digital value, the brand equity of the law firm. Then not only will the buyers have the interest and the ability and the proof to pay upfront amounts as the consideration to a selling law firm. When I said ability to pay means that banks will come in, and we're starting to see this. Banks will come in and will lend upon the sales of law firms based upon the value of those data analytics. So as we continue to think about where law firm sales are going in the second half of the 2020s, our eyes are on law firm sales 2.0. And that there will be sales of the book of business that will continue as an earnout, and there will be additional payments on digital value and brand equity for those firms that can reliably show that clients come to their firms, retain their firms because they can show digital value and brand equity.
And that is the state of the market for law firm sales and a little bit more today than 11 minutes.